guys. This is the ACS React JS workshop. Today we have the first day, and we have Swapnil Sagar, who is from CSC to MS final year. He's placed in TCS and F13 Coforge. So, Swapnil, I hand it over to you, and we can start with the workshop.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction. And first of all, I will request Abhishek, and you can stop the screen share. I will share my own screen. Yeah. So yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, guys, welcome to React.js workshop. So this will be an introduction workshop. I will take you through all the basics of the React.js and what you guys need to know before starting React.js, all the prerequisites and all the basic implementations of React. Because tomorrow you will be having a hands-on experience where you will see a practical coding. So what you guys need to know before that, I will cover that up. So yeah, as you can my they have given my introduction, so I will again repeat that yeah, I'm front end developer. I am currently placed in TCS Coforge, and I am a mentee at Elevate Labs. So yeah, first of all, guys, let me tell you, if you want to say something, you can unmute yourself, or you can just say it in the chat. So the aces guy will obviously tell me that. And yeah, so I'm a mentee at Elevate Labs. These are my handles. You can contact me anywhere you like. So let's start with the basic learning part. What you guys need to know before starting React. So the first step is obviously HTML and CSS. So I assume that you guys are in second and third year, so you must be familiar with HTML and CSS. So and the second is JavaScript. So when I say JavaScript, I does not mean data structures in JavaScript. I mean ES6. So ES6 is a part of JavaScript which is basically used in front-end development, and I will cover that in the further slides. And before starting any of the frameworks like Angular, React, and Vue, you should know JavaScript and HTML, CSS. These are the like must for that. And yeah, after that, these are the prerequisites. So obviously the HTML, CSS, the ES6, and the third is about node packages. So what is node package? So node is a environment which allows us to download all the package and use it in the React interface. So you can interact with the node packages using command line interface. So there are multiple commands which you should know, and if you don't know, then you can obviously go to the npm documentations. They will have a detailed of the whatever things you need to install. So let's start with the ES6 JavaScript. So what is ES6? ES6 is the JavaScript used for front end because since React is a library of JavaScript, the most of the 90% of the part written in React is basically ES6 JavaScript. So some of the uh, things that you should know about ES6 are let, const, arrow functions, map, and default function parameters. So what are let and const? If you guys are familiar with JavaScript, you should know about var, right? So JavaScript doesn't have any data type. There is nothing called integer or string. Everything is in var. You can store integers, strings, or even array in var. So in the ES6 current release, they have introduced let and const. So let and const allows us to basically store a particular value in a variable outside of the function scope. So if suppose you say you're defining a function and you are giving a value to any variable and put it in a let data type. So that value will hold that function in just one block scope, not outside of that. So in outside of that, that will be considered as undefined. And similar of const. So let and const are basically same. And then arrow functions. So what are arrow functions? So if you can see the old syntax, you must be familiar with it that you define a function, name a function, old one, and write your code inside it. Here I've written console of hello world. So what the arrow function allows us that it lets you store your function inside a variable name, and not only that, it let you allows us to define anonymous function. So what is anonymous function? Anonymous functions are a function without any name. So as you can see here, a function has a name old one, but here there is no function name. The new one is a variable name. So you are actually storing a function inside a variable. So that is the beauty of ES6 JavaScript. So this syntax has two parts. The first is declaring a variable, which is new one, and the second is assigning a function to it, which is a simple console log. So whenever you want to call this function, you just need to call this variable, and this function already executes. The next is map. So map is simply we use to iterate through an array, but it is just not that. So whenever we are defining an array and we are storing it in a variable and we are using map method in that, so whatever functions we defined, it will iterate through all the elements and will execute all the element with that function. So suppose you have variable number 4, 9, 16, and 25, and you're iterating map with map.sqrt. So it will iterate through all the elements and give out the square root of each element. So the output will be 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the basics ES6. And one more thing, the default function parameter. So yeah, what is that? So you know about function parameters, right? That you define a function, you give it a parameter, say a and b, and then you give it a definition about a plus b or anything. So what if when I call a function, I don't pass two parameters, I just pass one. So let's say we have a function a plus b, a and b, and we define a plus b. But when we're calling that function, we are just giving it passing a. Then what will happen? So in other languages, it will give an error, but JavaScript doesn't do that. So the in ES6, you can have a default value to any parameter. So if no methods is passed in that, it will perform the operation with the default value. Okay, so I think that's all about the ES6. Now let's come to NPM. So NPM is Node Package Manager, and NPX is Node Package Executive. So what is Node Package Manager, and what is the difference between Node Package Manager and Node Package Executive? So Node Package Manager is a command line interface, which it's actually a Node extension of Node, which is allows us to install all the packages inside our React application or any JavaScript application as such. So the basic difference between Node Package Manager and Node Package Executive is that Node Package Manager allows us to install any package in your system. So suppose if we have any React library, it's called Firebase. So we need all the Firebase files inside our React application, right? So that time we will use npm. And npx, which is Notepad Executive, it is used to just run a package without even installing it. So whenever we create a React app, we use npx create React app. Why? Because we just want to install the packages. We don't want all the installable files in our system. That will like take away a lot of memories and will also make the installation very much slow. So that is why we use npx instead of npm. And these are the basics commands that you should know before starting any React applications. I will, at the end, I will definitely try to initiate one React applications and just tell you how you can set up it. So with that's all, let's start with React. I hope there is no questions till now. So yeah,
If there's no question. Yeah.
okay, great. So what is React? So React is a JavaScript library used for building user interfaces. So, but you got to think why React is used, because we already have HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Why do we need another framework, another syntax, all these great big lines of codes? But yeah, let me tell you, React doesn't have any big line of codes. The codes that you write in HTML, CSS, those are like the 10 times and 50 times much bigger than what you will write in React. And that is the beauty of React. It allows us to reuse our codes for different part of our project. So React uses a virtual DOM. So before going to virtual DOM, let me explain you what is DOM is. So okay, let me explain you by using Paint. Yeah. So what is a DOM? So DOM stands for Document Object Model, and it is basically a tree-like structure of all the HTML tags that you are defined in a project. So let's say this is a DOM, and you have created one div tag, which is again linked to another div tag, and another div tag, which are further linked to more div tags and more functions. So these are not just div tags, but it can be any elements in a web page. So let's say this is linked with this and this. So you are saying that it is a tree-like structure and they can be interrelated. So what our usual HTML, CSS and vanilla JavaScript does is that whenever there is a change or there is an update in one element or one object in a DOM tree, it re-renders the whole DOM tree. So if there is a multiple functions in that, if there is multiple scripts in that, and let's say if there is an API fetching in this that, so it will recalculate and re-renders all of the DOM tree, which actually takes a lot of time and which actually creates a lot of interference in the browser and it will let the website load very much slow. So what React does is it creates a virtual DOM. So what virtual DOM is? So virtual DOM is the exact copy of the original DOM. So let's say this is a DOM and this is a virtual DOM. So React does not interface with the original DOM. It creates its own copy and will check if whenever a DOM is changed or not. So suppose this is a element of a website and the user has interfered with that, user has interacting with this. So this element has changed. And then again user goes to another element and it also interacts and it has changed this. So now what React does is it has seen that okay, so user is interacting with the website, but he is not like interfering with all the elements. He is just interacting with these two elements. So now what it does it simply compares the virtual DOM with the original DOM. So you can see that this DOM is now compared with this DOM, and this element is compared with this element, and it just updates these two elements. It does not re-renders the whole DOM tree. So that is why React is so much faster and so much quicker than the original HTML JavaScript. So yeah, let's coming back. So that is what it uses. It uses a virtual DOM. So that is what that makes it a much more faster in rendering. So going to the next slide. So why do you use React? So React is being used by all the basic big companies like Facebook, Instagram, Netflix, Airbnb. And let me tell you that React is one language that is actually used by a small startups to a big MNCs and like one of the companies in FANG, not one of the like multiple companies like Facebook and Microsoft. So I think if let me tell you about my personal experience. If you're going to any early startup based company, what they does is they just use new technologies like any of the new technologies. But if you like keep on growing and you go to the big companies, they don't use new technologies. They use all the old outdated but established technologies like .NET. So yeah, TCS uses .NET. I'm sorry to say that, but yeah. So but React is one language that is actually used by even Microsoft. So the guy that I was talking about, Tanay Pratap, he is a React developer at Microsoft. and he all actually motivates students to go to uh, his channel, learn about React, and actually also provides jobs to them. So yeah, do check them out. He's a great guy. Anyways, coming back to the topic, so I think React is something that everyone should im- impose in their life if they're going to web development. So now let's come into feature of React. What are the features of React? So the first is JSX. What is JSX? So JSX stands for JavaScript XML. So one different thing about React is that it doesn't use HTML. You don't have to write HTML codes inside React. You have to write JSX. But yeah, don't be afraid. JSX is very much similar to HTML. Let me demonstrate you. Mm, So, yep, here is your original HTML, and this is a JSX. So, what is the difference? You can now ignore all this render and return function that will I will explain in a bit. Let's come to the div tag. So, it is just similar to HTML, but a bit of difference is that the class that you define in HTML it becomes a class name. Why? Because JSX allows us to write HTML code inside JavaScript file. But JavaScript already has class as a keyword, right? So that is why in if you write HTML inside it, we have to write class name because otherwise it will create interference between class and class name. Next, that styles. So if you do inline style in HTML, you simply write style equals to and all the attributes, but not in JSX. You have to give style and give double curly braces. Yeah, I know that doesn't looks right, but it is how it is. You have to write double curly braces and give all your attributes. And rest of it is much more similar. It is the very much same. So you won't be finding any difficulty to cope up with the change in language, right? So yeah, that's coming back. JSX, and now let's what is the second feature? VDOM. So virtual DOM, I've already just demonstrated you what virtual DOM is, which it makes React what React is very much faster and quicker than the original method. The third is component. So it is the very important feature of React. What are components? So React is actually based only on components. React just works on components and nothing else. So components are the building blocks of any React application. So whenever you're creating a React app, you don't create different features of a page. You create different components. What does that mean? Well, components are just like a Lego pieces. So you define one pieces and keep it aside. And then you define another Lego piece and you keep it one side. And when you want to create your application, you just put them in their places. This is how a Lego works. So components are a building blocks, and it is actually optional to accept inputs. So you can create a component which accepts an input and use that components anywhere whenever you want to interact with users to accept any values. It is an independent and reusable bit of code. So components are reusable. You can actually use one single component in multiple parts of your web application. And it is also used in the render function. So what is render function? Anything you write inside a render function will be shown in your web application. And anything you write outside the web render function, it will act as a JavaScript. So it will work in the backend. So let's take a look. So this is an Airbnb website. Airbnb is created in React. So you can say that this is a simple website, yeah, very interactive and likely. What React says is that it has multiple components. So this one is an header component. So you can define it in a separate file. This is a top component. You can also define it in a separate file. And React also allows us to write a component inside a component. So this top component also has a location component inside it, which you does not have to define in the same file. You can define it in a different location and just import it or export it. Similarly, this is a body component, this is a post component. This is a simple example. But suppose if you are writing this in HTML, you will have to actually write all these codes again and again for Lonavala, for Good, for airbag. You have to write everything again and again and give in different values. But in React, you can actually use the same location component 8 times and give them a different values. So how does it do that? So I will explain that in a bit. So there are basically two types of components: functional components and class-based components. So class-based components are the traditional and old method of defining a component in React, because it is established. It has a lot of functions in that. But functional component are a newer version. They doesn't have any features just like class components, but they are very much faster. So let's come to functional components. So functional components are called stateless components. But why is it called stateless components? What are like stateless? What does it mean? I will say that states are basically the features of a component. So functional component doesn't have any features like class-based component because they work independently. So in simple words, functional components are just JavaScript functions. You can write it and you can return a JavaScript XML and it will just render that. So if you can take an example over here. So I've created a function named title and I've returned h1 tag. So this is a beauty of JSX. I can actually return an HTML. So if I say I am title, it will, whenever I call this function, I will render I am title in my web page. So this functional component. Now let's come to class components. So class components are stateful components. What is stateful? So whenever suppose you are having multiple components and you want them to interact with each other, then you use class components. It is very much similar to functional components, but it has some features that makes it very much user friendly, but it is also very complex. So whenever you want some properties of a components, pass it to the another component, then you use class components. So I'll demonstrate using an example. So there is a syntax of class component. You can say that there is class, give it a title, and extend React component. So this is a basic syntax. You need to write it every time. And this is a render function. So if you would have seen, the functional component doesn't have any render function. It just have return because it is a straight JavaScript function. But class components, it has a render function. So whenever anything you pass inside the render function will be rendered in an HTML page. So it is just similar to the class component, functional components. So when to use that? Yeah. So is there any questions?
What's the use of render function?
Yeah. So render function is a predefined function in a class components. So as I said that class components are used before functional components. So it is not a React or a JavaScript function. It is a React syntax. So render function, it basically tells the React that anything inside the return function, you need to render it in an HTML page. Render doesn't have any parameters. It doesn't have any like callback functions or anything. It is just a method which tells the React that okay, whatever is in between this scope, you need to render it. But functional components doesn't have that. You can simply write anything inside the return function, it will render it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So when to use when? So whenever you need to manage a local state, what is a local state? So local state is anything input or any features in a web page that you need to pass it as a data to another function, then you use class components. So suppose a user is inserting his details like his name, his job ID or anything. You need to put that in a database, right? Or you need to put that or to show that in a different text area. Then you should use class components. because input tag is a separate component and text tag is a separate component. So you are passing one data to another. Then you should use class components and need to add lifecycle methods to your components. So what is lifecycle methods? I will explain that in a further slides. I have a slide review for that. Next is add to add logic for event handlers. So suppose you are having a button, and whenever you want to click a button, you want an API to fetch. You want some data to get from any API. So you are passing a data, right? Then you should use class components. And when should you choose functional components? So if you are just rendering a image, or you're just rendering the text or any data of any user, you don't you want the data to be passed on any other function, then you should use the functional components. So let's take the example of Airbnb. So here, suppose this header component has a search tag. So you want the data that is being fed in this search tag to get passed to another component, which allows us to show all the results, right? So you have to use class-based components for this. But coming back to this top component, there is no data being passed. You just need to insert the text and the image, and we'll just keep on rendering the same thing again and again. So here you can use functional components. Yes, but I'm afraid to say that the thing that I just said, it is not valid anymore. So class B, I said the functional components you cannot use when you need to pass data, but in the recent addition of React, they have introduced React hooks. So React hooks actually allows us to use all the data passing and all that in functional components as well. So that is a part of advanced React. So I won't cover that up here. So yeah, next is props. So what are props? So I just told you that in class-based components, you need to set a different values, and the same component can render different values. But how do you do that? You can do that using props. So props are a React way of making components very dynamic. They provide a way of passing properties to one from one component to another and from parent to child. So what is a parent and child? So whenever you're defining one component inside another component, that becomes a child of that component, and it is accessed via this dot props. So let's take an example. So I have written a variable greeting and I've passed a props. So you can say in h1 tag I am using props.name. So what is props.name? I'm actually passing the value in the render function and I'm giving name equals to Edmund. So whenever props.name appears, Edmund will also rendered. So it will show hello Edmund because this name equals to Edmund is a prop and I'm accessing it in this functional class-based component. Let's document or create an ID. Let's not go into that. That is simple syntax. You don't have to worry for that. So that is a simple props. There is a very vast use case of props that you can actually pass the whole database, the whole data from a database to any props, and it will just render easily. Now let's come to states. So React also has a feature called states. So if you can remember, I told you that class components are stateful components and functional components are stateless components. So by that, I mean this. So what state does is anything you write inside a state function, and if it changes, it will re-renders the whole component. What it is mean? So if you can look here, I've defined a state as brand equals to Ford, and I've rendered my car this dot state dot brand. So whenever the brand name changes, it will re-render this component or this tag. So in this example, I have hard coded it as Ford, but you can also use like input method. So whenever user input something, the whole component will re-render it, because whenever we are inserting any element inside a input tag, we want it to be shown in a area, right? We want the input element to be rendered in a text area, so that we should know that what we are entering. So for that, states is used. So whenever we insert or anything changes in a state, it will re-renders the whole component, and it is accessed via this dot state. So the React lifecycle method. So what is React lifecycle method? So basically, what a React does is it has a set of rules or set of steps to initialize and deinitialize the components. So at first it is initialization. So what is this? It is we are inserting a component inside a virtual DOM. So I explained to you what virtual DOM is. So first it is we are defining the elements which should be initialized in a virtual DOM, and then we are mounting in it. So we're inserting that element in a DOM tree, and whenever anything changes in that element, it will update it. So it will update in the virtual DOM, not in the original DOM. And whenever the updating is done, then only the virtual DOM or the changes in the virtual DOM will reflect back to the original DOM, and hence the React actually changes how it renders the a whole web page inside a browser. So I think these all about the theory about React, and yes. So let me tell you that the average salary of a React developer is 9 LPA. So nothing to brag about, but yeah, if you are thinking about how will you go, then you will really go far. So these are all the theory. Now let's start with creating a React app. Okay. So here in my desktop, I've created a file called React Workshop. It is an empty file. Nothing is there. Now let's initialize a React application in that. I will open my Visual Studio Code, and I will definitely recommend that if you're working on React, you should definitely go for Visual Studio Code. It is very much lightweight, and it has had a lot of extension that it will really help you in the React application development. So I will open this file over here. Yeah. So my file has been opened, and it is nothing. It is just an empty file. So as I shown you that React has npm, and npm has some predefined command line to initiate React application. So let's do that. So I will simply write npx create React app, and I will say that yeah, React workshop. I will hit enter. Okay. Oh, sorry, I've written npm. So as you can see, it won't work in npm. It is npx. Yeah. So it is so that it's creating a new React app, and now it has initialized all the functions and all the packages. Now it is fetching that and installing it in my React application. So let's wait for that, and let's see what it actually creates. So until it's done, let me tell you that React has a very good boilerplate. So what are boilerplates? Boilerplates are basically pre-written codes. Whenever you initialize a React application, it has some pre-written codes which you need to, like, you can either use them or you can remove them if you like, and you can just customize it as you like. So React has that, and you can actually play with it very much uniquely. So let's see what happens.
Guys, you can ask your questions to them.
Yeah. You can also put your question in the chat. It won't be an issue. Okay, so until it's done, let me explain about one more features of React. So what React does is it is a single page application. All the projects or all the web pages that are created in React, it is not just multiple pages. It's just one single page. So what does it mean by one single page? Yeah, Facebook and Airbnb, they have multiple pages, right? You can navigate through different pages. Then how can it be one single page? So, well, it is not that. So React actually has just one HTML file. It is index.html, and all the rest of the file, those are just JavaScripts. So if you go any of the React file or React websites and you inspect it, then you won't find a like usual HTML code. You will find all the gibberish over there, which is very hard to understand. It is because that those are single page application. Everything written in a React index, it is just a root. So I will show you that whenever it's get installed, and then all the different parts of the web pages are written in a different JavaScript files, and they are just clustered together and used.
Do we need to install some other packages or direct this npx wala thing?
You need to install Node. So you just need to install Node packages. If you want to know how to install Node packages, just go to Node documentation. So Node is basically the handler of React. It also basically provides all the packages. So you need to download Node and install it in your system, and after that you're good to go. No other extensions or any of the files is required.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So it's taking a bit time. Until then, let me demonstrate you one of my project. So this is my project, Slacky by Sagar. It is a Slack clone. I've created it in the React application. And it is basically just like, if you know about Slack, it is a chat application, right? So it is just like that. Yep. So you just need to log in and you can send messages in the different channels. You can also have a option to create a channel. Let's see. This is React workshop. I put save, load it, and it will create a channel name. And I can actually send a message over here. And any one of you can also log in and send message and chat one-on-one by different users. So this is one of the applications that I've created in React. It is my big project. And other than that, I've created a lot of projects. You can find it on my GitHub link.
Also, guys, tomorrow will be the workshop where Viraj will be taking you through how to create a React app proper. and we have sent the details via mail. It'll be at 11 o'clock. And yeah, here's the feedback form. Till then, till he finishes, you can fill the feedback form. And yeah.
After installing Node.js, what is the next step?
Yeah. The next step is simple. As I've shown you, you just need to create one file. If you have a Visual Studio Code, that is very much good. Otherwise, you can simply use your uh, terminal as well. You can also put all the node package codes in that or command line. It will work. But I recommend you to use Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
have
then you can
Visual
simply,
Studio Code.
yes, then you can simply initialize your React application. Just use npm npx create React app and give it your file name, and it will just install. No
Okay,
problem will be
okay.
there. Yeah, yep. So it is done. Okay, it is not done. It's still installing more dependencies. So the beauty of React is that it is an open source. So you will find a lot of extensions or a lot of packages or helper packages, we call it, which you can use to perform different actions in that. So let's say if you want to fetch some API or put a data in recommendations or anything, you have different packages in that. Or suppose if you want to use Firebase in that, then Google has its own package for React.js called Firebase React, and then you can use it in your projects. So yes, it is installed. So while initial, I've told you about boilerplate, right? So these are the boilerplate codes. You have all the node modules. You don't need to worry about this. These are just pre-written compilers and all that. You have this index.html. So I told you about React just has one HTML page. So I was talking about this, and it won't have any div tag. It just have one div who has the ID root. So everything you write in a React, it will be stored in this div tag, and you don't need to worry anything about how to change it or how to work with it. You don't need to touch this file only until you need to give it a different title or different icons. You can have your logo. Well, these are all the boilerplate, so you don't need to worry about that. These are all the manifest.json. So anything you write in the public, you need to initialize or you need to write here. Because a JSON file, it will then interact with the React and pass it on the values. So, but you don't need to fiddle with the public. You all you need to do is go with a SRC. So SRC is a folder that you want to create your application or create your folders or all the files in that. It has it app.js. So anything written in app.js, it will render in a web application. So let me start this in React server. So I will just write npm start. I will hit enter. It is giving some errors. Let me see. Okay, sorry. So I am not in the current directory. That is why it is showing an error. I need to go in the React directory. So now if I write npm start, it will start a local server and it will render all the React application. So my web development server has been started. You can see it is using localhost port number 3000, and this is a boilerplate React application. So anything you write here will be reflected over here. So if I write, yeah, one more thing. So React, there is one drawback of React. You cannot use multiple tags or multiple fragments in React. So if suppose I use another div tag over here. I'm just gonna say hi. It will throw an error because React only supports one tag. So a basic walkthrough to that situation is that put all of your codes inside one major div tag. So here you have a class name app. So anything you write, it should be inside this div tag, nothing outside it. Otherwise, it will give an error. So if I let me just say React Workshop and I hit enter, it will just reflect that. You need to reload the page. There's nothing else needed. So yeah, that is how you set up a React application. And stay tuned to for tomorrow. You will be shown to how to create a simple project. So my friend Viraj will do it. So yeah, I guess that's all for today. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Guys,
So
please
are there no more
fill in the
questions?
form. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask them, and our group is there. So if you have any doubts, you can post them there. We will forward them to them.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. Or you can also add me in that group. I will
Oh
be
yeah,
happy to.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do that. Okay, then I guess nobody has any more questions.
Then
Just can you just take a group picture and then we can call it a day.
yeah, okay. So do we need to like switch on our
Yeah.
camera?
Can you please switch on your cameras?
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Wait. Ayush, Tanay, Divya, Ayush, the other Ayush. Come on, it's okay. You don't need to look great for it. You just need a group picture.
Yeah, this happens a lot. People don't do that. I know.
Tanay, come on. Tanay. Tanay and Ayush mostly. At least you two to do. All right. Leave
Yeah,
it.
that's not okay.
Fine. Just take a
No
picture.
problem.
Yeah. Thank you. I'd like to thank Swapnil for giving your time
Yeah,
to us today
no problem. No
and
problem.
telling us about the introduction to React. What we should know, what we should not know,
Mm.
and the pros and cons of it. And yeah, that's about it. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow
Yes,
we
yes.
will have the hands-on workshop.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.